AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt.
Shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Oh. And a Mr. Toby Tom Plate. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Latest on some recruits, LSU coaching staff, my trip that'll be here. A lot to do. Let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
All right, the early signing period got underway on Wednesday, and it was eventful. The Tigers got pen to paper on 10 recruits. There were 5 more commits that we were waiting on what would happen with them, and then there was the possibility as well, as a lot of the those super awesome recruiting people predicted, that LSU would land a quarterback, a flip from South Carolina in Landon Duckworth. That did not happen today. All right, so let's get into all of this here. We'll check some boxes and get you caught up on everything as it all played out. Okay, first and foremost, proud to say that I beat the LSU Twitter by 8 minutes. It is official now that Richard Anderson is, in fact, a done deal. So the 5-star number 1 defensive tackle in America out of Edna Carr, Richard Anderson, sent in his paperwork today. He is officially an LSU Tiger. So I had a conversation this morning with Bryce Brown, who is Richard Anderson's coach at Edna Carr, and what he told me is, if you just go back, I'll give you the Cliff's Notes version. So Anderson was going to delay his signing just because of the uncertainty around the staff, right? Is Blake Baker going to be on staff? If Blake Baker leaves, Kevin Peoples or Kyle Williams be on staff? You know, the defensive line coaches there. And then the uncertainty around Frank Wilson. So there was just a lot of uncertainty. He wanted to take some time. On Tuesday night, Bryce Brown, Big Rich's representatives, all these young guys have agents. So they met with Kiffin, Blake Baker, and Billy Glasscock, the new GM, Tuesday night. Apparently, everything went really well. Richard was going to sign on Wednesday. Everyone reported he did at his signing. He said he was picking LSU. Do you still have that announcement? So Richard Anderson made the announcement that he was sticking with LSU, signing with LSU, signed the paperwork, but then LSU never officially reported it. Well, had a conversation this morning with Bryce Brown from Edna Carr, who said like it was just a clerical thing with the GM change from Austin Thomas to Billy Glasscock. It was a clerical thing, and so they just didn't get the paperwork in. Rich had he had testing today, and then after the testing, he was going to sign and send it in. So that is now official. Richard Anderson, number 1 defensive tackle in the country, is officially an LSU Tiger, which is fantastic news. And there were really 2 cornerstones of this class with Anderson and Lamar Brown. So one of them now is officially on board. Lamar Brown is the other, and a similar situation where he was waiting to see what was going to happen with the coaching staff. And I think that's completely understandable. As a matter of fact, Lamar was a guest on ESPN's College Football Live and explained, you can hear it from him, why he didn't sign on Wednesday.
I needed time to see where I really want to be and get close to this new coaching staff. Like I said, I wasn't really recruited by them from the previous place they was at, but just felt like I just needed time and not actually like lock in, just thanking God for this moment.
It's not a bad thought. I think everyone can understand. This is another thing that the college football calendar has sort of mucked up when a new staff is here on Sunday and less than 72 hours later, these young people really, less than a little more than 48 hours later, they're having to decide, am I going to sign and stay committed? You sign at the school, the staff, the coach. What if hypothetically, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but play a hypothetical with me. What if Blake Baker gets at one of these head coaching jobs we're talking about, Tulane, Memphis, and they bring in a new defensive coordinator who runs a 3-4? That changes a lot what Lamar Brown may want to do. It's probably beneficial to have yourself a conversation. And again, there's no LOIs anymore, the National Letter of Intent. You just sign grant and aid paperwork. So you could do it in this portal, or in this early signing period window, or you can take your time and wait until the semester begins and take the month of December, get to know this staff, and then just enroll in school, sign your grant and aid paperwork, and enroll in school in the middle of January and go through spring ball. So I think it's actually a prudent thing for these guys to do. Like, take your time, gather information. That's a smart thing to do. Don't be impulsive. He was asked, by the way, if he was going to take other visits.
Quickly, any other visits you've got in mind, or a timeline here for your recruitment?
Oh, no, sir. I would not take no more visits.
No visits. And what I don't mind sharing with you today is Lamar. There's a ceremony at U High Friday at 12:30, and what I've been told is that in that ceremony, Lamar Brown is going to sign with LSU. So for everyone who's a little nervous and apprehensive, I've had multiple different people close to Lamar today and close to the situation telling me that Lamar is going to sign with LSU on Friday at, I think, I'm almost positive it's 12:30. Now, those things can change as far as what time they're actually going to do it, but it's supposed to be in the gym at U High on Friday. So they're anticipating Lamar Brown will send his paperwork in and be the second 5-star member of this class, both on the defensive line, joining Richard Anderson, who is now official. The other piece of this class, I mentioned there were 5 commits after Wednesday that had not yet sent in their paperwork. They were, as you mentioned, it was Lamar Brown, Deuce Geralds, Trenton Henderson, Bryson Cooley, and Richard Anderson. Well, Anderson is now in, so we're waiting on the other 4. Lamar Brown is going to be Friday. Deuce Geralds also going to be Friday and expected to sign with LSU. I was told today that's not expected to be anything funny. He's supposed to sign with LSU, which is going to be on Friday. Bryson Cooley, I do not know an update on Cooley. It's just that Billy Embody of On3 reported he'll sign Friday, choosing among LSU, Ole Miss, and Alabama. So I don't know what Bryson Cooley's intending to do. And then Trenton Henderson as well out of Pensacola is expected to sign on Friday as well. So we'll see what that decision is. The one that kind of went sideways was Dylan Purter. So Purter is the 4-star out of Alabama. He's a safety who today did not sign with LSU on Wednesday, and today signed with Florida. Now, he's a 4-star. He's the number 181 prospect nationally, the 15th best safety. And what I was told today is that this was a player that was processed out of the class. I hate using that phrase, processed or purged or however you want to say it, but there's no other way to say it. But it's just what happened. I mean, this is a guy who was committed to the former staff. The new staff comes in, and they make decisions if they're going to honor the offer for these prospects. And Lane Kiffin said it on Monday. They weren't going to take guys just to take them. They weren't going to take guys just because they go to a certain school. They're going to do their evals, which I was told they got straight to on Sunday night and into Monday to determine who was going to have an offer. And so now you've seen 4 players that had been committed to LSU not signing with LSU. And those are players that were processed out of the class. And basically their offer from the previous staff was not honored by this staff. And Dylan Purter was the last. But he's a really good player. I mean, he's number 181 nationally. I mean, it's like Kenny Darby. Kenny Darby was out of Bossier's fantastic receiver, one of the top 200 prospect nationally, whatever he is. And, it's just this staff has a different idea of what they're looking for and than the previous one. And they've been really good in their evals. That's undeniable. With Kiffin and with Billy Glasscock, the GM, they've been really good at this part of it. And so they know what they're looking for in prospects, and it's their prerogative. It sucks. It sucks for these young people who had been committed, and you get right up on signing day, and then this happens. But I'll say it again, it's one of the benefits of an early signing period because now these guys have time to find a new spot. Hopefully they'd continue engaging with schools and they have options. And Dylan Purter had an option here. He had a great opportunity. He's going to play at Florida in the SEC, which is a great option for him. So Purter flips to Florida, signs with the Gators. And then the other prospect that we were keeping an eye on today is Landon Duckworth. Now, Landon Duckworth was a quarterback out of Alabama. He was a South Carolina commit, top 10 prospect, a top 10 quarterback prospect in the country. And LSU made a pass at him, and they got him on campus back for the Louisiana Tech game earlier this season. And on Wednesday, Duckworth did not sign with South Carolina. And all of the talk was, Wilt Fong and a lot of the national people predicted that Landon Duckworth was going to flip to LSU. Well, that did not happen. Landon Duckworth stuck with his commitment and signed with South Carolina. Hayes Fawcett and others were the first to be on that earlier today. So LSU still without a quarterback in this class, the 2026 class. And it's just very obvious, man. Lane Kiffin is going to have to go do work in the transfer portal. And be it one of the two quarterbacks at Ole Miss, if it's Chambliss or Simmons, or if it's going out and about and looking elsewhere, they're just going to have to go find quarterback numbers because that is something you do not have right now after missing here on Duckworth. So that's the signing day update. Sam Spiegelman will be here in 1 hour, so kind of get a national perspective on this LSU class with Lane Kiffin. We'll talk about it with Sam and what else may come for the rest of the day and into Friday, which is when the early signing period ends. All right, it's after further review. Our show open every day is brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR, the official beer of the LSU Tigers, official beer of the New Orleans Saints as well. If you're in a festive mood, you want to celebrate with the Tigers or the Hoodats, of course, you could pop on into your favorite retailer and you'll find the officially licensed LSU cans in 16-ounce aluminum bottles. You find the officially licensed Saints cans as well, the black cans with the gold fleur-de-lis. You can find them at all great local retailers. It's Bud Light, the official beer of the LSU Tigers, the official beer of the New Orleans Saints. Make sure to raise a bud with our friends from Mockler Beverage and Bud Light, the official beer of AFR. All right, y'all, it's after further review, and we are glad to have you hanging out with us here. I'm going to knock out a quick break, come back. The other sort of significant news involves the LSU staff. There was a report from Football Scoop last night about Austin Thomas that I want to get to and what his future may be, and up-to-date info on Blake Baker. I'll tell you what I know about both Tulane and Memphis pursuing the LSU defensive coordinator. We'll get to that next on AFR.
AFR.
It is Christmas time, y'all. That means it is time to get by Clegg's Nursery and get your Christmas tree. If you have not yet gotten your Christmas tree, they have an amazing selection over at Clegg's. Any of the 4 locations, Siegen Air Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, Garden Center on Greenwell Springs, they have an amazing selection of fresh cut Christmas trees. And there's plenty of time to add some festive spirit with a fresh tree. Great selection. I can speak to that firsthand. We were there on Friday. Poinsettias look awesome as well. That is a great way to add some Christmas spirit to your home or your office. And they have an outstanding selection. If you have not yet seen the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs, the poinsettia selection there, you got to go check it out. And they have new shipments arriving darn near daily from their own greenhouses. So these are locally grown. It's Clegg's Nursery. Buy local, shop local. Tell them Matt sent you in to Clegg's Nursery.
Wherever you go, whatever they get into, from chill time to everyday adventures, protect your dog from parasites with Credelio Quattro. For full safety information, side effects, and warnings, visit CredeliaQuattroLabel.com. Consult your vet or call 1-888-545-5973. Ask your vet for Credelio Quattro and visit QuattroDog.com.
Closer for the review with Matt Moscona. Presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at DecisionCriticalBR.com.
Always shout out to Decision Critical, Blaze and the team. We appreciate them so much. DecisionCriticalBR.com, not just healthcare. It's healthcare for your lifestyle. Feeling under the weather, want to get an IV, they can come to you, home, office. They can come to you for anything. They drew Drew's blood labs at our home on a Monday night a couple of months ago. They're just the best. From bringing home a newborn to end-of-life care, maybe you get a difficult diagnosis. If you need their expertly trained nurses, it's Decision Critical. DecisionCriticalBR.com, DecisionCriticalBR.com. But don't let the BR fool you. They're all over Louisiana and about to open up their office in Dallas as well. So DecisionCriticalBR.com. Something that we probably knew, not probably, something we did know, quite literally the day that Lane Kiffin got on that private jet and landed in Baton Rouge, was that LSU was going to have a new general manager. Because Billy Glasscock, the Ole Miss general manager, was on that plane to Baton Rouge. And I think the one big question that remained is whether or not Austin Thomas would still have a role within the LSU football program or the athletic department. Well, Football Scoop on Wednesday night reported that Austin Thomas will not return to LSU football. Now, I don't think that's a great surprise. Again, Lane Kiffin actually told us that on Monday when he had his press conference. Lane Kiffin, he's talking about, this wasn't a bite about Billy Glasscock, but he talked about, when he landed at the airport and then, they're driving by Tiger Stadium and all that feeling of anxiety went away. And then he starts describing going in the building. Listen.
Then you walk into the facility and myself and the coaches, our general manager, like you walk in and I'm like looking around and I'm like, God, like it's like we're in the NFL.
So it wasn't a bite about the general manager, but he told you Monday, our general manager. Well, the general manager he was referring to there wasn't Austin Thomas. He was referring to Billy Glasscock. So, there's two sides of this. There's the Austin Thomas side of it, and then there's the what is LSU getting with Billy Glasscock side of it. So with Thomas, I think one interesting question that a lot of people have asked, understanding that from the beginning he was not going to be retained in the GM role, is would he have some role within LSU athletics? And there was this video I know that Michael Cobble posted on Sunday night of Lane Kiffin in his office, from the street level, kind of looking through the windows. And a lot of people thought they saw Austin Thomas in there and read that to believe that maybe Austin Thomas was in good stead and was going to return. That was not the case. Listen, I don't want to be salacious or spread rumors or misinformation, so I'm not going to do that. What I will say is when it was becoming clear Lane Kiffin was going to take the LSU job, and we talked about that here for several weeks, and it was a very strongly held feeling. It was also very clear that Austin Thomas was not going to be retained. Now, I don't know. I'm telling you candidly, I do not know the depth of whatever their fracture may be. But the thing that I would tell people often is, did you ever think of, because I think there was sort of this fan sentiment that, well, Austin and Lane have worked together, which is true. Austin was at Tennessee with Lane for a year, then went to Southern Cal with Lane before he left Southern Cal to come to Baton Rouge for the first time, and then was hired by Lane again at Ole Miss as his GM for 2 years in 22 and 23 before Austin came back to LSU for his third stint. So Lane Kiffin and Austin Thomas had worked together at three different places, at Tennessee, USC, and Ole Miss. And I don't know if it's because of the time in college football when Austin Thomas left. It was such a transformative time as schools were putting together and programs were putting together their NIL plan, how they budgeted money, how they allocated funds for the roster, how they evaluated. And so maybe it was a thing where Lane Kiffin looked and felt like Austin Thomas got some inside info and then went to a division rival. Well, there's no divisions anymore, conference rival, fine. But suffice to say, I think that was maybe not the best breakup, and that it was pretty obvious that Austin wasn't going to be retained in that role, which is fine. Again, I think every coach has the right. It is their prerogative to have the autonomy to hire their staff, on-field support staff, whatever they want to do. And they'll make good decisions and bad decisions, and we'll see how it all goes. And by the way, that a lot of people assume that was Austin Thomas in the office. Like, I was told that was not Austin. It doesn't, like, the guy with the shaved head is Joe Cox. And I think the other guy in the office was actually Charlie Weiss Jr. So I do not even think Austin Thomas was in the office right there. I think it would be very wise if at some point, there was a debriefing. Like, if Lane Kiffin went to Austin and said, okay, tell me about your recruits. Who's on your board? What are your needs? What does the NIL look like now? What does it look like next year? I mean, to get that debriefing would make a lot of sense. It would help ease the transition. I'm not sure there's been a lot of that going on over there from what I've heard, but in any event, this shouldn't come to anybody as a surprise that Austin is not going to be the general manager. The other big question is, would Austin remain somewhere within LSU Athletics administration? And it doesn't seem like that's going to happen either. See, Austin was a Scott Woodward hire. Remember, Brian Kelly even said this several times, like when he was asked about having a general manager. Now, he and Austin got along well and worked well together. But Brian Kelly said it's the reason I never went to the NFL. He wanted to manage his roster and recruit and develop talent and all that sort of stuff. In the NFL, the head coach doesn't have that autonomy. The GM largely does a lot of the personnel stuff in his staff. So Scott Woodward is the one that brought Austin here. So Scott Woodward's no longer here. The one spot that might make sense is you can look and say, well, Verge Osbury was a senior associate AD, and Verge was elevated to athletic director. So Verge's old job still is unfilled. So you're down someone, a key role in athletic administration. So maybe Austin could do that. But as I understand it, that's not the case. And listen, Austin's very good at what he does. I've told you this before many times on the air. I think the world of Austin Thomas. I think he's a brilliant guy. 10 years ago, Ed Ogeron made him the general manager. He was the first one to hold that title in college football of a general manager. He was very much ahead of the times. And there's a reason he keeps getting jobs at major programs all over the place. I mean, he's very good at what he does. He's also just a good man. So, whatever the riff with Austin and Lane Kiffin, maybe because Austin left Lane in the manner in which he left and left for LSU, whatever. I mean, that's for them to determine and not for, or to work out and not for you or me to know or care. What we do know, though, is Austin's not going to be back, and Billy Glasscock is now the general manager at LSU. I have never met Billy Glasscock, LSU's new general manager. And as a matter of fact, quite honestly, aside from just maybe casually hearing the name a couple of times, I don't know that I could have even pointed him out in a room. And they've only been here since Sunday, so I've not met him yet. I'm certain at some point that'll happen. But I have, over the last 3-4 days, spoken firsthand with people that have already met with LSU's new GM. And it makes sense, right? I mean, they're trying to put this roster together so in ahead of signing day. So they've had phone calls and face-to-face meetings with coaches and agents and current LSU staff members. So there's a lot. There's people from Ole Miss who know Billy Glasscock. So I've got a really good, I shouldn't say really good, but I've gotten some perspective on LSU's new general manager. And the phrases that keep being used are things like transparent and really bright, thorough. I had one agent tell me, I'll read you this text, said, Glasscock is really impressive, does a great job with the presentation of how he builds a roster and a staff. Also, that says Lane is authentic and transparent. That was an agent. A coach that spoke with them this week also said, used that word transparent, said he's a really good communicator. So early returns on LSU's GM are very good. And the other thing that I would point out is if you look at, and Billy Glasscock's tenure, he started in the early 2000s as an on-field assistant at the JUCO level and has just worked his way up. He's began in recruiting staff at Minnesota. He's been at NC State as well before going to Texas, where he was for 3 seasons under Sark before as director of player development before Lane hired him as the GM when Austin Thomas left. And you look at the last 2 recruiting classes at Ole Miss, they ranked 19th and 20th nationally, but they were 1 and 2 the last 2 years in the portal. So maybe even the most important part of that is what we were talking about a bit ago, which is how they evaluate players. And a big part of that was necessity at Ole Miss because you don't have unlimited resources, especially out of the high school ranks. So they have had to be really good at the evaluation. And as I understand it, that's something that Billy Glasscock kind of spearheads. And that's exciting because if you think of that, right, the ability to evaluate players. I mean, just think about what just happened here with 4 LSU commits kind of getting purged out of this class. They had to very quickly evaluate the commits that LSU had, decide who are they going to keep, who are they not going to honor those scholarship offers to, and which commitments did they have at Ole Miss that were interested in following to Baton Rouge that they were going to take. So they did a lot of work in a very short amount of time there. And we'll get to know more about LSU's new GM, but it's being widely reported now, of course, that what we already knew with Billy Glasscock coming in, that Austin Thomas will not have a role on the LSU staff, which, again, we've talked about for some time, but now it's being widely reported. All right, it's after further review. We're glad you're with us. Brought to you by Evamore, EVAMOR, Evamore.com, Evamore.com. Drink Evamore, EVAMOR, Evamore.com. By the way, I do want to give an update on what I know about Blake Baker, so we'll get to that in a bit. We got to go around the SEC. We'll have our fantasy blitz. A lot to get to here, but I will get to my Blake Baker update for you as well. I'll tell you what we know. Hey, look, drink Evamore, natural artesian water. It's a healthier alternative. Stay hydrated. You want to make sure you stay healthy during cold and flu season. Make sure you stay hydrated. When it's cold outside, we forget to drink water. One of the reasons I love to carry around the big 64-ounce bottles with me, it just reminds me all day, like, drink water, stay hydrated. So you can get the 4-pack of the 64-ounce bottles at your favorite retailer. Got them at Rouse's. Got them everywhere. You want to find a retailer near you, go to Evamore.com, EVAMOR, Evamore.com. Hit the store locator on the drop-down menu. Type in your zip code, and it'll tell you exactly where the nearest store is to you where you can buy Evamore, or you can buy it online at Evamore.com. EVAMOR, Evamore.com. Anna just spilled. Happens. Maybe I need a sippy cup. All right. It is AFR. We'll not get a quick break. We'll go around the SEC. By the way, Kalen DeBose, when he was meeting with reporters today ahead of the SEC championship game, was asked and did address for the first time the Penn State rumors. I'll let you hear what Kalen DeBose said when we come back after the break.
AFR.
YourGoodwood.com. Hey, peptides. You know, I love telling you about this amazing new product. Well, they're not new, but they're just sort of now coming in vogue. And over at Goodwood, they have incredible deals going on right now when it comes to peptides. So I've told you about my experience with BPC-157, helping with my back pain, injury recovery. It'd be amazing. It's a pentadeca peptides, strain of 15 amino acids derived from gastric juice. It can help you if you have gut issues. I also take NAD Plus every day. Amazing for energy and your mitochondria. There's so many different peptides. We're talking about non-pharmaceutical options to help you heal and live your best, fullest life. Right now, this is through Monday. Right now through Monday. By 3 months, get 10% off. By 6 months, get 15% off of your peptide therapy at Goodwood. YourGoodwood.com.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at DecisionCriticalVR.com.
Alabama and Georgia getting ready for the SEC championship game on Saturday. Georgia certainly is in the college football playoff, win or lose in that football game. Bama could be a little more complicated if they lose. If they lose and it's a one-sided game, they get a third loss hung on them. There's some thought that what happened last year with SMU, where they lost the ACC championship game, still got in. A little different. Strength of schedule wasn't the same, but they were also only a one-loss team. So we'll see what happens here with that game. But one of the really interesting conversations that's starting to bubble up is Kalen DeBoer and Penn State. And I don't have any insight. I have no idea what's going on there. I don't cover Alabama day to day. I don't cover Penn State day to day. I'm just sitting here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, looking at that going, Penn State was the first job to open, and they still don't have a coach. If they wanted to promote their interim head coach, they could have done that already. And they've gone through this cycle, and there was these recent reports about Kalani Sitake, who then is staying at BYU. I kind of look at that Penn State situation, and I say, okay, well, what are you waiting on? Your season's over. All these other jobs have been filled. Like, what are you waiting on? Maybe someone in the NFL, perhaps. I mean, I guess at this point now, at the signing period, there's no sense in rushing. Your interim coach, you can promote at any time. He'll take it whenever. It's not, honestly, that dissimilar from what happened, I think, at LSU in 2016, when they were so all in on Tom Herman. He ends up at Texas, and then Oliva just hurriedly raced Ed Ogeron to the podium. My point then was, why? Like, he's going to, no matter when you want to hire him, he's going to be there. He'll take the job anytime. Like, vet other candidates, see what else is out there. Don't just race someone to the podium. And so Penn State's kind of doing that, but it does stand to reason, just logically thinking, is there someone they're waiting on? And maybe that someone is Kalen DeBoer. Maybe not. We've seen it happen before at Alabama, where you get outside. I guess Francione was probably the most obvious example of that. A guy who was left TCU, went to Alabama for a couple of years, and then left to go back to the state of Texas when he took the A&M job, and that blew up on him. But I don't know. DeBoer's always felt like a weird fit there, and boy, they lost the Iron Bowl and missed the postseason for the second consecutive year, back-to-back 9-3 seasons. I think it really could have blown up on him a little bit. But DeBoer was asked about Penn State, and he didn't have much to say. But here's his answer.
We are extremely happy at Alabama. It's the first time I've been asked, so I appreciate you, Charlie. And we are extremely happy here. Love the challenge, love the grind, love this place. And there's never been any link. There's never been any conversation. There's never been any interest either way. And so I'm glad we can put that to bed right now.
Did he put it to bed? Muse.
I say yes. I say that's denial.
Oh, I disagree totally. Oh. There is no denial there. There is no denial. That is a non-denial denial. Give yourself a buzzer there, Muse.
Explain.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, he said there's never been any link. There is no link. No interest on either side.
He said that he loves Alabama. He loves the place. Didn't say, I'm staying at Alabama. Didn't say, play Dan Lanning. Get Dan Lanning.
All right, let me get it. Hold on.
Get Dan Lanning, and you will see the contrast here. I want you to contrast what a denial is. A denial is Nick Saban saying, I'm not going to be the Alabama coach. Then he became the Alabama coach. A denial is Dan Lanning saying, yeah, I'm not leaving Oregon. Period. As long as we win, I'm going to be the Oregon coach. So let's hear DeBose again. I don't need you guys. Just come on. Give me DeBose again.
We are extremely happy at Alabama. It's the first time I've been asked, so I appreciate you, Charlie. And we are extremely happy here. Love the challenge, love the grind, love this place. And there's never been any link. There's never been any conversation. There's never been any interest either way. And so I'm glad we can put that to bed right now.
He didn't say, I'm not going to be Penn State's coach. He said there's never been a conversation. There's never been a link. Never been an interest. Doesn't mean there won't be. Doesn't mean there won't be a conversation. Just to say there has never been. That's the thing about plausible deniability. Agents have those conversations to offer their client plausible deniability. So they could say, I've never had a conversation with Penn State. Okay. If he had said, I'm not leaving Alabama, that's how you definitively deny. You can have a strong non-denial denial, and that might border on a strong non-denial denial, but make no mistake, friend, that is a non-denial denial by Kalen DeBose. He has left the door open there. It is after further review. Well, I would love to see him leave there. God, I would love to see him leave there. Lose on Saturday, leave on Sunday. That'd be so good. Arco.com, Arco.com, ARCCO, Arco.com, Arco Power Systems. I know hurricane season is past, and thank goodness we didn't have a major storm here hit the Gulf, but, you know, we've seen snow last year. We've seen ice storms. We see a stiff breeze that can knock power out. What happens to your business if power goes out? Let's not find out. Let Arco Power Systems help. This is a Generac industrial generators. They will install these standby generators for your business, for your commercial or industrial facility. Arco.com. It's all turnkey. They can sell, service, install, and rent your Generac automatic standby generators. ARCCO, Arco.com, Arco.com. I'm going to tell you, you might be thinking, yeah, Matt, but my business is in Shreveport. Doesn't matter. My business is in Lake Charles. Yep. My business is in Winnie, Texas. Awesome. Because Arco serves businesses north to Little Rock, east to Mobile, west to San Antonio. They got offices everywhere. Arco.com, ARCCO, Arco.com. Okay, do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference, the Kentucky Wildcats.
Former LSU offensive coordinator Joe Sloan has been hired as the new offensive coordinator at Kentucky under head coach Will Stein. Sloan had been with LSU since Brian Kelly showed up before the 2022 season, has been the OC the last 2 years. He was dismissed after 8 games this season. Joe Sloan headed to the Bluegrass.
The Georgia Bulldogs.
Kirby gave a few injury updates before the SEC championship game. Center Drew Bobo still not determined how his injury will be handled. Running back Bo Walker had surgery. He'll miss the game. Running back Chauncey Bowen's doing good at practice. Tight end Ethan Barber off his scooter doing some individual work. And wide receiver Taylor looks like he's ready to contribute again.
Texas A&M!
Carson Baker, 2026 running back, has committed to Texas A&M. He's a 4-star out of Georgia. Didn't have A&M in contention until just 2 days ago, but a late push from Mike Elko and his staff, and he'll be an Aggie. He'll choose A&M over Florida, North Carolina, and South Carolina.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
Julian Walker has flipped to South Carolina from Michigan, 4-star defensive end. Had been committed to Michigan since the summer. He's the 12th best edge in the 2026 class, number 85 in the country.
The Missouri Tigers.
And Mizzou has kick-started their 2027 class with the commitment from 3-star quarterback Braylon Warren out of Omaha. Beat out Kansas State, Wisconsin, Iowa. He's the 29th best quarterback in the country for 2027. Got away from him. There you have it. That is around the SEC. Our Thursday shows are presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. DecisionCriticalBR.com, DecisionCriticalBR.com. That's where you can find them online. You know, maybe you're expecting, maybe you're bringing home a new baby, you're not sleeping. Awesome. Let the Decision Critical nurses come in home, take care of your baby while you sleep. Look, you ain't any good without any sleep, so get some sleep at night. DecisionCriticalBR.com. All right, y'all, we'll knock out our final break here of hour number 1. We'll come back. Darren Tietkin will be here for our Fantasy Blitz. Before you set your fantasy football roster, check with our guys at whotostart.net. Get your questions in for Darren. Email us, tweet us, text us, 225-396-4400, 396-4400. Fantasy Blitz next.
After further review.
Man, we are so spoiled as a society. We are horribly spoiled. You realize that? We're sitting at home, pull up an app on our phone. When it takes more than like 3 seconds to load, we're like throwing the phone across the freaking room. The great news, you never have to worry about that again, thanks to Rev. R-E-V, letsrev.com, letsrev.com, letsrev.com. Rev, 90 years in our local markets, backed by lightning fast speeds, 5 gigs, all fiber network, and they are all over the place as well. Baton Rouge, Gonzales, Prairieville, Plaquemine, Denham, Springfield, Hammond, Ponchatoula, Covington, Mandeville, LaPlace, Reserve, Thibodaux, Houma, LaRose, Grand Isle. Y'all, let's Rev. Home or business, get a faster, more reliable internet. LetsRev.com.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com. After further review, this is the Fantasy Football Blitz.
Do you know who I am?
Powered by whotostart.net.
Who the hell are you?
Whotostart.net. The Fantasy Football Blitz.
Who the bitten?
This is the Fantasy Football Blitz. Powered by whotostart.net.
Who are you?
All right, here we go. Wrapping up hour number 1. Darren Tietkin, whotostart.net, here to answer your fantasy football questions. How are you, dude?
I'm doing good. Hey, I hear LSU football hired a coach.
Yeah, man. There was this whole big deal here. Word starting to spread. I think it's going to be okay. Supposedly pretty good at coaching offense. Just word starting to leak a little bit out there.
Yeah.
As I'm sure the same is true with the NFL weekend getting underway. So let's start as we always do with Thursday Night Football. Dallas, Detroit. Of course, anytime the Cowboys are on primetime, it's going to be a big deal. What we keeping an eye on tonight?
Yeah, this is, de facto kind of a playoff game. I mean, the loser of this is going to be really facing an uphill battle. So the fantasy implications are that it should be a tightly contested game, a lot of offense. We'll see if St. Brown plays. If he doesn't, then it's going to be a lot of Jahmyr Gibbs and Jamison Williams for the Lions, and, of course, the dynamic duo of George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb for the Cowboys.
All right, we always do sleepers as well. So who you have an eye on this weekend?
Yeah, I've got 3 for you today. First, a running back. It's going to depend on the health of Kyron Williams, but Corum for the Rams is starting to get some more snaps. Might find his way into the end zone again this week, especially if he gets the full load. So just take a look at Kyron Williams' practice status. Another guy that might be getting some increased looks with another person out would be with Chris Olave possibly out is Devon Vele from your Saints there. Looked pretty good last week, and even if Olave does play, he might be worth a flex spot. And then finally, Adonai Mitchell, the wide receiver for the Jets. He's the past couple games has been the main target for Tyrod Taylor. I think he had like a 30% target share last week, which is huge. So if he's the pass catcher for the Jets, he might have some value moving forward.
I remember you can always get your questions in for Darren. Email us, tweet us, or text us 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Lots of ways you can get involved in the show, so feel free to get your questions in for Darren. Let's start one off with Sean, who says, who to start, Daniel Jones or Caleb Williams?
I think I'm going Caleb Williams there. The injury to Daniel Jones scares me a little bit. I mean, the guy's running around with a broken fibula, so he isn't running as much as he has been in the past. So that was always, 3 or 4 extra points you were getting from Danny Dimes, and I think Caleb Williams is just a safer start.
Roma Dunze, Parker Washington, or Isaac Tesla, who to start?
Tesla will be one to watch. If Amon-Ra St. Brown's out, maybe you go with him. But if Amon-Ra does play, I think Odunze, even though he's been quiet as of late, I think he's probably your better play.
Remember, you can text your questions 225-396-4400, 396-4400. Jeremy said Jalen Hurts or Daniel Jones, who to start?
Yeah, I'm definitely going Hurts there. I mean, the Philly offense has kind of been a shell of itself from years past, but Hurts still gets you some points on the ground. Like I said, that's what Danny Dimes is not getting you these days with his injury. So I think Hurts is your play there.
Darren, one other quick thing before I get back to questions. Are we getting close to playoffs? When are we starting there? Do you still have the people ask you still have the special available that we always do, the promo code?
Yeah, we got the promo code still, the playoffs. I'm in a couple leagues that were the bigger leagues that are starting this week, but most of them kick off next week. So if you need help down the stretch, we are definitely here for you.
Darren, we got 4 teams on bye: New England, the Giants, San Francisco, Carolina. Anyone in particular on those teams we're keeping an eye on? I know we talked a little bit about sleepers, but any questions you're getting pretty regularly here this week leading into the weekend?
A lot of people, it's strange. People had kind of started to lean on the quarterback, Bryce Young, for the Carolina Panthers. So they're looking for, obviously if you're starting him, he's off this week. Quarterbacks to look at in his stead, let me just pull my things up here. Jacoby Brissett, he's been a guy that's been throwing the ball a ton for the Cardinals. Even Tyrod Taylor, if you're in a bigger league, he has a great matchup against the Dolphins.
All right, see, we get a few more in. Sean said, who to start? Kyle Pitts or Brenton Strange? Who to start?
I got that question. That's funny. I got the same question from one of our subscribers, and I believe I went with Pitts just because his target share has been on the rise with Drake London out, and I would be surprised if London plays this week. So look for Kirk Cousins to look a lot at Pitts. Strange has come on strong too, but I think with Jacoby Myers kind of taking some of the looks away, I think Pitts might be the answer there.
He is Darren Tietgen, hoot2start.net, the numeral 2, hoot2start.net. Check him out there. Get all your fantasy football questions answered. Win your league, win your bragging rights, hoot2start.net. Thanks, dude. We'll do it again next week.
Sounds good.
All right, man. Be well. It is After Further Review. We're brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com, Rouse's.com. Got a Christmas or holiday party coming up. Get everything you need over at Rouse's. You need that bottle of wine for a gift, that bourbon for a gift. They got a great selection. Of course, their bakery has tons of great sweet treat ideas and anything you need to bake, make for that holiday party. Rouse's.com. Rouse's, this feels like home. All right, hour number 2 coming up after SportsCenter.
After Further Review.
We'll get to a Saints injury report here coming up after the top of the hour. I do want to remind you about the Williamson Eye Center. I love telling you about Dr. Blake Williamson because it's not every day I get to tell you about people who quite literally change people's lives. And when you wake up in the morning, you can just see. You don't have to reach for glasses or readers. You don't have to shove contacts in your eye or remember to take them out at night. Be honest, you sleep in your contact lens. I did it for years. Terrible habit to have. But I don't have to worry about it anymore. I had LASIK. 7 years ago, I'm still seeing better than 20/20. And maybe you're not a candidate for LASIK. Maybe you're nearsighted, but you're not a candidate for LASIK. Evo ICL is a good alternative to LASIK. ICL is the implantable contact lens, where they literally implant a contact lens into your eye. It's a totally reversible procedure with virtually no downtime. Learn more about your options, how you can see 20/20 without contacts or glasses. The Williamson Eye Center can make it happen. 924-2020 or online at williamsoneye.com.